and welcome back to Dymin in the Rough with Lance Lynn sometimes. Lance is actually here right now. Say hi, Lance.
Hello. I made it back.
We are going to kick him off later because I have a really fun guest coming, and this episode is for the girlies. So I have Ashley Rodón joining us a little bit later. You may know her because her husband is Carlos Rodón, and he was with the White Sox for a long time. Now he is currently with the New York Yankees, and he pitched last night, so he will not be joining. So Lance is getting the boot.
Yes.
Yeah.
He threw the ball well last night.
He did a really good job last night. I actually paid attention. Yeah. Well, tell us about Carlos, because you played in 2021 together with the White Sox, and you guys went to the playoffs.
We did. Carlos and I both had really good years that year. That was his first year kind of back healthy for the first time in a long time. So, obviously, you see him now in the playoffs. That was what he was doing that whole year, which was really good. He went through some injuries and some things there in the early part of his career, and he's been able to rebound and have a really nice run and make himself some good money too.
Is that the year that you both were on the Cy Young list?
Yep. We were both on the ballot for that. And then, we went to the All-Star game together, and
that was a good year.
Yeah, it was fun. And, it was really good to, get to know him a little bit that year. We knew each other a little bit from his college coach was Matt Holliday's dad. So Matt Holliday was a teammate of mine in St. Louis. So we kind of met along the way when he was coming up through college, and you're all connected somehow. It's kind of creepy, really. It's a weird game's weird like that. Secret society. Coaches, teammates, all that. You know somebody through somebody somehow.
Yeah. Let's talk about the playoffs.
Okay.
ALCS.
Yes.
A, B, C, D, F, G. It's getting interesting.
Well, yeah, because the winner goes to the World Series. Because
it could be Yankees, Mets, which is cool. Both New York teams.
The Subway Series could happen.
Okay, and that I Googled this. That hasn't happened since 2000, and the Yankees won.
Yes.
The Yankees have not won a World Series since 2009, right?
That is correct.
Okay, and then Yankees and Dodgers is interesting, too.
That would be
East Coast, West Coast.
East Coast, West Coast, too. I mean, when you're looking at, a lot of iconic franchises.
Right.
And involved in all that, so.
I personally like the Yankee-Dodger mix.
You would.
They haven't played in a World Series since 1981, and the Dodgers won that one.
That's a long time. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting matches. Cleveland's got something to say about that, too. They're down 1-0, but.
Accurately predicted the Yankees moving on. So, what are your predictions next?
Well, you're looking at right now, I've got Dodgers, Mets 1-1 going back to New York. I'm gonna go. And Mets have been really good so far. They're
I'm not mad at the Mets.
They
have a really good stadium.
They're that team. They got in, like I said, they got in on the last day of the season, and those teams have a tendency to do some, make like a good run in the playoffs, which they have. But Dodgers are pretty good. 1-1 going back to New York for I think it's 3, and then I don't really like to choose that series, to be honest with you. Like then the Mets and the Guardians the Yankees and the Guardians are an easier one to choose because the Guardians played a tough series the series before and used a lot of pitchers for a lot of innings, and they could be worn out. So I give the upper hand to the Yankees, and they're up 1-0. But I like them. I like where the Mets are at going back home 1-1, but it's hard to see the Mets winning 3 of 5 against the Dodgers. So I'm going to go Dodgers, Yankees. So we'll see next week if I was right.
Okay. This is not irrelevant, but what I kind of care about. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were there?
Yeah, you told me that.
That's a big deal.
Is it?
I want you to have a football schedule.
Yeah, 1 game a week. I think they played
they've been to the Open.
Yeah.
Is that tennis?
I think so, yeah. What, the U.S. Tennis Open?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, yep, that's the one.
That's tennis.
And they were there vibing out. And this is all during football season. Like, how is that allowed?
So they play on Sundays. Sometimes they play Thursday nights. So if you have a Thursday night game and then you don't play again until the next Sunday, usually they get that weekend off. So that makes sense why he was there. So it was a Monday night game. I don't know if they have a bye this week or not. And if they do, then they get the whole week off. It's their bye week. So you get it's like the All-Star break in the middle of the season, but they get 1 week.
Chose the wrong sport.
I say that, but stay a lot healthier probably.
You're probably right.
The other one.
Yeah, that shit's dangerous.
Yeah.
I'm not letting my son play football. Yep, you're agreeing. Great. Who is the biggest celebrity that you think that you played in front of?
Played in front of?
Like who was at the game?
I don't know. When you're in New York, there's, well, heck, in LA.
J-Lo?
A-Rod? Yeah, they were
Does
there.
A-Rod count? No.
I mean, no, because back then he was doing Sunday Night Baseball, so he was like an announcer.
He was a baseball player, so that's not shocking to see him at a baseball game.
Yeah. I mean, LA had some.
Will Ferrell likes to go to Dodger games.
Yeah, LA had like more of your like celebrity entertainment people, I say.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Chris Pratt threw out a pitch and you were there for that.
Yeah, he did.
They had a Shaq night.
They had a Shaq night. Didn't have a Shaq night. No, that was
LeBron.
LeBron was there one night. Yep.
Shaq just pops up all over the place.
Popped up in Kansas City this year with a post-game DJ session.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, you get a lot of just a random drop-bys when they just have a weekend off and they're with their pop star girlfriend, stuff like that. It's weird.
So wild.
Is she a pop star? Is that the right one? Okay.
She's everything to a lot of people.
True.
Yep.
She's everywhere.
Literally.
Yep.
Okay. Well, as we're filming this, I'm currently having an internal panic attack because our first episode just dropped this morning. So while we're filming this, everybody is hopefully listening to our first episode. So what do you think?
I think that they're listening to it, yes.
I mean, they better be listening to it.
We'll see how.
They're probably there for you, but they're going to stay for me.
Yep. Bingo. Yep. Sometimes you just got to open the door so everybody can see what's inside.
You got to snatch them, pull them back in.
No, it'll be good. And then as we're getting moving here, we'll be able to get feedback and talk to some people about, what they think and it'll be fun.
Maybe we can hype some more people up to come and be guests.
Oh yeah. I think we got that.
Yeah. I'm really excited to talk to Ashley.
Yeah.
She's got a lot going on right now.
Yeah. Their family is fun. They got little kids. They're crazy.
They started foundations.
Yep.
She was in the Miss America pageant this year. They like to do all the stuff you like to do, hunting, fishing.
Right. They do.
So they're fun.
He's busy right now.
Yeah. He's very busy right now. So it's time to kick you out. I'm going to talk to Ashley.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Are you ready to get started? I kicked Lance off the podcast for this. This episode is for the girlies.
Love that.
And I'm really just excited to shoot the shit with you because I haven't seen you since the White Sox were in the playoffs in 2021.
No one can even remember that. That was ancient.
I mean, we weren't projected to go very far, so we were there for a good time, not a long time, but a good time we had.
But I was just telling somebody. I was like, this is like my first real time in the playoffs.
Yes. And with the Yankees, how iconic is that?
I know.
And honestly, if you guys make it all the way to the World Series, like it has the fixins to be iconic. You got New York Yankees and the Mets, or New York and the Dodgers. That's wild. That's why. Who do you want to play?
I don't really care. I've decided. For me, with the kids, the Mets are ideal.
So ideal.
Because we don't have to go anywhere.
Do you get to travel with the team? When Lance was with the team, we weren't allowed to do that.
So they are awesome. They have a full other plane.
Okay.
So they fly all the family there and back. So the guys have their own situation, which I like too, because they need their space, they need their normal. And then there's a full other situation for the family. So it's really, honestly, it's really nice what they do. So it's not that stressful, I feel like, but it's just far. It's 6 hours on a plane, and then 3-hour time change.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but it's going to be iconic. So it's awesome that you're with the Yankees. I know the White Sox fans miss you guys a lot. Do you guys miss the White Sox?
It's funny, as the White Sox fans, even though we were not that great ever,
That's not true.
they were. I mean, I feel like our team was never like
Oh, the team. I thought you
this.
meant you guys. I was
Yeah,
like,
just
he did a no there and everything. It
no.
was
Yeah,
iconic.
no, it was. Yeah, it was. No, it was no, it was. But it was one of those things that the team as a whole was never like dominant. But the fans were always nice and fun, and like I enjoyed interacting with them and like sitting with them, and so I do miss that part of it. It was a little more like relaxed, I guess you would say.
I would agree
I don't
with
know the
that.
right
They're
word,
very
but
personable.
yeah,
And
very
I message
relaxed.
a
We
lot of
were
them
close
still. I
to
talk to a lot.
I know, right? And so I just miss being close to home too. That part.
Yeah, that was way easy. I liked being in Chicago too
Driving
because I
home.
was close also.
Driving home.
Yeah. Well, do you like living in New York?
Yeah. We thrive here.
That's good. You're a little
I
Midwest
think
princess, though.
I know I am. It's funny. It's funny that we're here, but we make it work, right? Like the
I mean,
kids
you
love
have
it
to
here.
make it work, but you're doing a
You
great
have
job.
to make it work.
You've
You
had a
have to
really
make it
busy
work.
year. You've been a pageant queen this year. You started a foundation this year. What else have you done?
I just keep giving myself jobs. That's what I say. I thrive in chaos. So if there's chaos, I'm like, I'll take it. I'll take it over. It's fine,
How
guys.
do you
Like, let
find
me
the
handle.
time?
I don't find the time. I feel like I just make the time.
Make the time.
Like make time. I don't know. I feel like with the kids going to school, it's a little bit easier because like right now they're at school. And so that's super helpful and like Silo's napping.
Yeah,
So
you
it's
had a
like
whole other kid since the last time I saw you.
I have had a whole other kid. And so I feel like I can take on a lot more because I feel like when you have kids, you have this like ability to multitask. Whereas before it's more like, oh, I have so much to do and like you just never get it done, but you don't have kids. So you're like, think you'll have all this time in the world. So you like never do it. Then when you have the kids, you're like forced. Like, I don't do it right now. I will not do it later. So I'm like my procrastination has gone way down. So I'm my efficiency way up. So I just do it all as fast as I can. Like I've been doing all the playoff gifts.
Look at
So it's getting
you.
getting all that.
My
So like that
ADHD could never. Never. I was just happy to be there, okay?
I'm just happy. No, I feel like I just between that. The nice part is once I check something off too, it's like, okay, that's done. That's done. And I feel like I can compartmentalize things to where I'm not stressing it all at once. With the gala, the gala was a big thing.
The gala was gorgeous.
Thank you. That was a lot of work. That was like a year.
Stunning. Stunning. Can I come next year?
I
I'll dress like a hydrangea bush if you need me to.
absolutely.
I will. I'll
Weren't
just be in
the
the corner
hydrangeas were
watching.
stunning? It's funny because like the friends, close friends I made in Chicago were the ones who helped me kind of put it all together. So Elise, from Chick from Chicago, she's been in my life now forever. Audrey from 99 House Balloons, like they all flew up here because I could not find anyone willing to like work with me on a budget because it's a nonprofit event. I'm like, I'm trying to save money, not blow money. And it was one of those things where I was like, okay, let's just bring you guys up here. It's way easier. And they did, they killed it. They made everything stunning. Like nothing was over the top in the sense of like we had to blow a budget, but they just like made focal points that it was like, wow, that looks stunning because it was like this one, they did this really cool like tree out of like hydrangeas and balloons. It's like it just like makes a statement. It's beautiful and it's fun and the whole thing really went off without a hitch. Luckily, I feel like that's rare to say for those types of events, but got a lot of really good feedback, which is special to me because, like, obviously it's vulnerable. It's a topic with our family
Yeah,
that,
let's talk
I'm,
about that. You want to
yeah,
walk? I know it's emotional for you, so will you walk me through
yeah,
how the Willow Grant came to be?
yeah. So Carlos and I got married super young. I feel like for people nowadays, but I wanted to be a mom, and like we were obviously in the financial position that it was like made sense if we wanted to start a family, we could. And I was like, I'm excited to start a family. Let's do it. I probably would have started a family with him 6 months into dating if he would have let me. I was like, But it was just like, I was like, I'm good to go. And so he was like, all right. And he knew how much I wanted a kid. And so I think he was on board. And so we got pregnant really quick. And we like went in for our appointment. I was like a little bit past 11 weeks. You know how baseball is. You like, it takes forever to get on a schedule where you can both be somewhere. And we went in there and like the baby didn't have a heartbeat. Like, and I knew what the baby was supposed to look like. I think that was like probably one of the more traumatic things is like when she like went over the baby, I could see the baby. And I was like, I had been hyping it up for Carlos because I knew he was scared. Like any man with their child, like for the first time, I knew he was like nervous about it all. So I was hyping it up. And then I saw, and like I already was crying before she was like, I'm having trouble finding the heartbeat. And then I like really knew. I was like, something's wrong because I don't know. I don't think you were there that year, but we had like 5 miscarriages on the team that year. And 2 weeks before that, one of my girlfriends had a molar pregnancy. And I just remember crying with her in the stands because like I'm a super empath. And I just remember like I was pregnant and I was like, I cannot imagine having to go through that. Like that is such a nightmare in my mind and for me. And I don't know if that was God like preparing me like for that thought to be in my soul already to like that's a reality for people, but I just don't know that I ever processed that that could be me. I was so sick. Everyone kept telling me, you know, when you're sick and people are like, oh, it means your baby's healthy. Like they kept telling others that. They kept telling me that. And I was like, okay, everything that's going to be worth it. Great. I'll just puke my guts up. It's fine. I'm fine. As long as I get the baby, I'm good. Um, and so they were like, oh, yeah, no, the baby doesn't have a heartbeat. And I was just a mess. But we get back in the car. Like, they had taken my blood and stuff because she was like, "Let's get some answers." I'm like, "There's the answer is my baby's dead." Like I'm always 0 to 100, so I was like very distraught. And I get a phone call and they're like, "Hey, like your HCG levels are through the roof. Like we don't know if we just missed another baby, and like you have underdeveloped twins." And so it was like super excited, super traumatized, back to like I guess cautious optimism. And I go back in later because they were like, let's see. And there was no other baby. And they're like, all right, we got to schedule you for a DNC. So we go through all of that. And the woman who really probably was the start of the Willow Grant, I wish I knew her name and who she was. But I walked in for my procedure and I was just a mess. Like from the moment I walked in, I wouldn't even let Carlos go in with me because I was so irrational. I get in there, they put me in the back room, they put me in the room with a baby scale. So I'm just staring at this baby scale. And I looked at the lady and I was like, can we get this baby scale out of my room, please? She felt terrible. So then I have another nurse come in to like start my IV. And she was like, she put her hand on my hand and she's like, honey, I know you're not okay right now, but I've been where you are and you're going to be okay one day. And I remember thinking in my head, I was like, I don't feel better, but I feel minute comfort in the fact that you have experienced this and kind of have felt what I feel and you're okay. Like I'm going to make it. And so I think that was the start of the Willow Grant because in my mind I thought how can I like give people comfort? How can I make people feel not alone? How can I help people start a family? And that was the whole beginning. So obviously we go on, I get pregnant on Mother's Day. I end up miscarrying that kid too. I like thought it was a sign and I was like, oh, what how special. And then that got ripped away from me. That felt pretty bad. I was in a pretty dark place for a while after that. Carlos had like the shoulder stuff, Tommy John. He was going through a lot. I was going through a lot. We were like building a house. I was like, what are we doing? Like, it was just chaos after chaos. But again, I guess I somewhat thrive in it, even though I was mildly depressed. But we ended up going to a doctor in Chicago, Dr. Brian Kaplan. He was like, if you don't want to have miscarriages anymore, he's like, obviously there's chromosomal errors, like IVF will work. So we were set to start that. And then I get pregnant with Willow. She's totally healthy and totally fine. But I think just for us having the position that we have, I wanted to make sure people like knew, like everybody goes through this. Like you're not alone. It's very common. I had no clue how common it was.
Yeah.
I think
It was a taboo discussion there for a long time.
it's super taboo. Even my grandma. I mean, my grandma had had a miscarriage, and my until I had one, my dad had no clue. Like she had never talked about it. She had never told people. She's like, it was just one of those things like you did not speak about it.
Well,
Like
I think
it
women
was
always want to think, well, this is my fault. My body's failing me. And, like,
yes.
we
You
always take the
do.
blame for things.
100%. You feel, I mean, I like look at Carlos and he's this, got all of this stuff going for him. I'm like, my singular goal in this moment is to give us a family, and I can't do that. And I just felt like my whole life, I really didn't fail it a lot. I think both of us, it's funny because both of us, our whole lives, had really great parents who really set us up for success, who pushed us to do big things, and we always fought to like win and do well. And then we get into the adult world together, and like he has these surgeries and these struggles, and I'm over here and I like have done. And what I always tell people, I'm like, tell me what you think you did wrong, because I'm going to tell you I didn't do it and I still had problems. Like I did not take birth control. I took a prenatal for a year before I tried. I did blood work before we tried. Like I was so hell bent on like, I mean, and that's just like my personality, right? Like check all the boxes, make sure everything's right. And then we still have all these problems. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? And so I think just that's where I just love talking to people about it, because I want people to have that comfort of like, it's not you. Even though it feels like it is in that moment, you feel like a failure and you feel so frustrated. Like it is so out of your control. And it's like you just have to be proactive. Like right now, for women's health, everything is reactive. Like there's no proactivity, there's no studies, there's no fighting for like research. The amount of research, they don't even know why women go into labor.
Now that feels wrong.
Don't you think that's crazy? Like they don't even know like at a cellular level what's going on with your body. Like there 11% of the national healthcare budget goes to women.
Are men in
3%
charge of
goes to
this?
yeah.
Go figure. How'd I know?
I know, but then only 3% of it is going to reproductive health, and almost all of it's going to IVF because it's profitable. So we don't understand like your egg reserves, how to like better ways to check that stuff. How do we know? Like there are so many things that we could do to push the envelope because we have so much technology. They're just not doing it. And so I think now the rhetoric is changing. People are talking about it. They're talking about their fertility journeys. And I think that's going to be probably what pushes it more than anything, because you just people have to push. Women have to push. I mean, honestly,
And
it's just the
reproductive
truth.
rights are a huge topic right now too. Like
Huge,
everyone's shining a
huge.
light on people's or
And I
women's
and I and
bodies,
I
and
honestly love it because it has to be talked about. Like otherwise, if you don't talk about it, it just gets swept under the rug. The same way my grandma's miscarriage got swept under the rug for every single one of her children until her 23-year-old grandchild had a miscarriage. Like that's crazy to me. No one ever talked about it. So super, as much as I always tell people like the journey was like truly a nightmare for us because you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like we were young, we had all of these things going for us. Um, but in that moment, there was so much like dark. And so I'm like, I wouldn't wish it upon anyone. I wouldn't want to go through it again, but I am thankful it's given us something to help other people with, because we are blessed to be in a position where it's like, what do you care about? Like how do you want to make a difference in the world? I think for our children too, one day I want them to see what's important in life. And it's not how many cars you have. It's how many lives did you impact? How many people did you make feel not alone? How many people did you make smile? Like those things are what matter, not the stuff.
they're a part of your legacy now. So that's precious. You have 3 beautiful children. What was
I
your
do.
IVF journey like? I know when I asked my Instagram for questions, people wanted to know what you wish you knew before going through IVF.
Well, see, Carlos and I never actually had to go through it. So that was the big thing. So for us, when we went to see Brian, it was like, okay, let's get all this set up. But I had went to a holistic doctor. I flew to California. And so she took like, I want to say it was 20 some vials of blood that appointment. And so she changed like my eating, she changed all of my supplements. She did all these wonky crazy tests, which was super cool, right? I'm big into like both ways of living. I think balance is great. And so I do love like a holistic approach. And so when she did that, I found some things with me chromosomally that I wasn't processing things right. So she put me on all these supplements. Well, that's when I got pregnant with Willow.
Oh, well,
And
that's
that was
amazing.
this, it was awesome. And so that was the same time we had went to see Brian. And so we were set to kind of start that. And then I got pregnant with Willow and she was totally fine. And so for us, I think the biggest thing was if it's people going through IVF, I think my advice for people, period, when it comes to their fertility health is to be proactive, not reactive. Find doctors who will advocate for you, find doctors who will fight for you, find doctors who will work with you with what within your parameters or what you're comfortable doing. I know there's some IVF doctors who are like, this is how we do it, and this is the only way we're going to do it. And then you have other doctors who are like, we're going to do natural transfers. We're going to do all these different types of transfers. And some people, from a religious aspect, only will do it one way. And if you can't find the doctors who will work with you, then it's an uncomfortable situation. Then it's something you like. I just think the biggest thing is just being proactive, like fight for what you want and don't wait. I think a lot of people wait. They think like, oh, it's gonna happen. Or like, oh, I'll give it 6 more months. And then you're a year and a half down the road and it's another year journey of figuring out IVF. It's IVF's not cheap either. So then next thing you know, you're having to come up with 20 grand and it's a very tough journey. It's very hard. The stories that I hear, the things people are going through. I have a grant recipient right now that I just had to extend the grant because the it's a 12,500 $12,500 grant and it's not covering all of the medication. So they're saving money still for the medication and it's one of those things. It's just a very real process that you have to be ahead of the game. So I think with me, because I didn't go through it, the only advice I have for people is just be proactive. Like, don't wait too long. If you really want a family, just like fight for someone to listen to you. Because I know they say a year, and I think a year is safe. Like I think a year is reasonable. But part of me is like, that's 6 months to 8 months. Start looking for a doctor. Like, start thinking about what that plan looks like. Don't wait until you're like, okay, we hit a year. Now we'll start looking around. Like, because then 6 months are going to go by and you're not going to get in. You're not going to find the doctor you want to work with. Like, there's so many things that go into it. And, and then, like, that. And it's like, it's hard to figure out your insurance coverage. It's hard, like, all of these things that you have to be proactive.
So where does the Willow Grant come in? Because you just said you had a recipient. So you're raising all this money and
So these couples, they obviously apply. Right now, we gave 2 grants through the Nest Egg Foundation. We have Columbia Fertility on board. They have a at-cost clinic in the city, so we're going to start giving a couple grants through them. And I have meetings with 2 more clinics. But people essentially apply who can't afford it, don't have insurance, and it's their first child. I'm big on that because I think that as much as I want to give as many grants as I can, we can't give them to everyone. And I think if you already have a child, you've kind of experienced what I'm trying to give people because I think everyone should just have a
that may
shot.
never get to experience having a child.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And so we read through all of like the testimonials, the doctors, lawyers, they all go over the applications just for like legality reasons of like, because it has to stay confidential. So I don't ever even actually see the names until the very end. But kind of go through their stories, listen to like their journey, why they need the grant, why they think they would be good parents, and why they think IVF would work for them. And we get to give those people who qualify the grants. And so we have 2 grants out right now. And hopefully this coming year, it's looking like we're going to be able to give more like 10.
That is really amazing.
Yeah.
That makes me want to
I
cry a
think
little bit.
it's,
That's
I
emotional.
know it
That
is.
you're going to get to meet so many babies that you help bring Earthside, and that's
That's,
wild.
that's like the big thing for me is there's not a lot of foundational work that you truly can just see such a clear outcome. And so for us, it's like, you can raise all this money for things and you're like, you hope it's making a difference. But for us, it's kind of cool because you raise all this money and then like someone's going to hold a baby. Like they're going to have a child. And like, I just think to the day I held my kid and there is no amount of money that could ever like cover like that feeling. It's the like the best feeling in the world. And like that's what people deserve. Like they deserve that. People, money and finances in a world of upcharged medications and procedures, like that should not be what is stopping people from having kids, because those drugs are all patented drugs, the IVF drugs. That's really, I mean, the drugs alone cost almost $5,000 in most cases, and sometimes more. And there's nothing you can really do about it besides ask them for a discount.
Well,
Yeah,
that is stupid.
I
But you're
know.
doing no, I just think this is
It is.
amazing.
It's
It's
crazy.
really incredible. It's really awesome.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
I'm proud of you. I'm happy for your
Thank
family.
you.
You have 3 beautiful children and you're just killing it right now.
It's the
And you
best.
don't only have the Yankees platform, but you're Mrs.
Oh
Connecticut. Can we talk about Miss Connecticut?
my gosh. Okay, yes, Miss Connecticut. Well, I guess I'm technically first runner up of Miss Connecticut, which is great. It was
The
so
winner to
fun.
me.
Winner to you. And we that's what we take. Winner to Willow too. She's like convinced that
Well,
I won
yeah,
still. I was like, you were there. Mommy didn't win, but mommy did her best. Honestly, I was super proud of it. It was something I was never planning on doing again after I had kids, I'll be honest.
yeah, you were a pageant girl growing up, right?
I was, and I loved it. And my goal was always I wanted to get to Miss USA. And so when they announced the rule change, obviously we have this great foundation, and I talked to Carlos about it, and I was like, you know what, I really feel like it's a great chance for me to talk about the foundation, because a big part of it is like awareness, and who better to talk to about being proactive about your fertility health than a bunch of young women. I was like, it's the perfect platform in my opinion. And so I got to do that, and I had a blast, and I was super proud of it all. It was very hard this time, because, like, it is not the same to get in shape.
Your bod was bodying so hard, so hard.
It,
The hair was
I was,
hairing, the skin was skinning, the gowns were gowning. You
it
looked
was,
so hot, and all your pictures were so good. I was so hyped for you the whole time. It was awesome.
honestly, I was probably pretty hyped for myself because I worked really hard. I put a lot of thought into the dress and the like opening number outfit and the prep. People like it's not just like you just walk up there, right? There's so much work that goes into it. My
Bitch, I
husband
couldn't
was
even walk
like,
up there. What?
Carlos was like, he's like, he'll talk about it, but he's like, I am impressed. He's like, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time at the gym. It's a lot of time doing like, interview prep and working around like what questions look like. And it's the same way like these guys get prepped for media. But the nice part for them is like they get asked the same questions every time,
That's true.
right? It's like always the same thing.
And
And
if
like
you're Lance, you
even
don't
this week,
answer. So,
right. Or you just be like, I don't want to say yes. Like
yeah.
no one's judging you. It's just you. And so it was cool though, because in the interview, I posted some of my interview on my Instagram, and I just got to talk a lot about the kids. I got to talk about why the foundation was important. I got to talk about why I think it's important that women can do stuff like this who have kids. I think it's a big goal. And I thrive off of goals. I thrive off of like having something to reach for. And so it was great for me. It was great for just the stage of life I was in. Everyone's like, "Are you gonna do it again?" And I was like, "I have a kindergartner now, so no."
Are you going to put her in pageants?
If she wants to, I would. I would honestly never push her to do it. I don't think that. I don't know. I just don't think. I think you either love it or you don't. I don't think there's an in between. I think it's your thing or it's not. And so I would never push her to do it if she didn't want to. I do attribute a lot of my public speaking and my confidence and my personality to pageants, because it kind of just pushes you to be more outgoing, to be a little louder, to be, fun, I guess. Um, if she wants to do it, I'm totally in. I'm definitely not saying no.
She like
I
to
never made it
hunt?
to. Um,
Because that's something
I
about
don't
you
think
too. You're
she's.
not just a pageant girl, you're
Yes,
like a hunting pageant girl.
I know. I do. I know. I'm like a weird tomboy mix of a human being. I don't know. I think because my dad didn't get a boy, he was like, I was it. He was like, this is my boy. So like, I did all of the boy stuff and the sports, and he treated me like a boy. Um, And then my mom like wanted me to be a princess. And so I just got the mix of both. I don't know if Willow's gonna be like on the hunting train. She's definitely more like my little sister. I just think she wants to just like pet all the animals, which I'm totally cool with. Bo, on the other hand, definitely like down to hunt for sure.
Is
Straight
Daddy
boy.
Los pissed that he's missing a little bit of hunting season?
He's not, but it's so funny because we were just talking about that. We've been, this is our 10th year, and this is the first time he's ever pitched in an ALCS. This is the first time we've really ever been on a team that even has had a shot. It's not a shot in the dark, right? Like it's not like throw it up in the air, like hope it lands right. It's like truly the talent on this team, the camaraderie, like the girls, the guys. It's just it's fun. It's fun to be a part. It's a vibe. Like the whole team is a vibe, and I think they're all like fighting for each other, and it's just different. It's different this year, and so but we've never not been home during this time. I mean, I have that like giant Halloween party
I
every
was just
year.
wondering that. I was going to ask you what your Halloween party, like your costumes are going to
Yeah,
be.
yeah. We have like the Halloween party, and then we have like the alternative date if necessary. We've like had that on the back burner the whole time.
That's good.
Definitely. No, it is. It's great, and I'm thankful because I've always told him, and the reason we signed here, I said you are too good to never get a taste of what it's like to be in a World Series, win or lose. I was like, you deserve a shot, and
How is
so.
the pressure of being a Yankee? Because I feel like, respectfully to the White Sox, like I said, we were not projected to go very far, but the Yankees always have this pressure on them to be elite always. And it's been a hot minute since they've won a World Series, like 2009.
I think that yeah, they haven't even been to a
So,
World Series since then,
yeah,
from my
how is everybody
understanding.
mentally right now?
Yeah, honestly, the guys are handling it super superior.
Like
Then
true
for
professionals.
Carlos, I don't let him have social media on his phone. I'm like, delete that shit. I'm like, we don't need that in your life. Like I don't know. I think I was I it's not about me either. It's like it's about my family, but the people saying it doesn't affect me. I don't know if it's the thick skin, the point of view, or what it is. It does not bother
Well,
me.
you're 10
But I
years
think it
in
like
now, so. And
yeah,
you've been through
yeah,
some shit, clearly, so you
yeah.
can't hurt
And it's
me.
like the other day I had like some crazy fan in our foundation inbox, like being a couple of them, like irrationally crazy. And I was just like, you know what, I'm posting this because people need to see like it doesn't I mean, I'm like, whatever to me. Like you're not gonna do anything. Like you're not gonna come in my house. I already know that. So it's
Well,
like
do you ever
one
feel
of those things.
unsafe? Or like, hey, I don't
I
need
mean
to bring my kids to this because people are being too crazy and it's just not worth it to me.
so yes, I feel like there were some points last year where I felt like that. Was like, okay, I'm gonna hire security. Uh, but I think that it's more just it's the capacity of people in New York. Like there's so many people, and like the true fans are good fans. They travel, they like cheer for the team no matter what. There are really good fans. I really like it here. There's just so many people that you do have the bad eggs. Like you do have a good amount of people who are irrational and really get upset. I think the betting on baseball has not helped. I'm just to be honest, like I think that people are now invested in a way they weren't invested before, and it's their
Financially, where
money.
we're going to lose some
It's
money now. And
yes,
yeah,
it's their
people get
money.
Venmo requests after certain games. Like, it's
Yes, we love a
wild.
good Venmo request,
Yeah,
right? Oh my gosh. But I just feel like that's where some of it is coming from. That you are fighting a big machine. Like gambling is so big. And when you people start to lose their livelihood on games, they want to come for you. It gets real personal real fast. And so I try to just take that into account. You know me, I'm big like take it as it is, kind of go forward. So the pressure is definitely much more substantial here than ever on any team either way. Like I feel like on the Giants there wasn't a lot to boo about, I'll be honest. When Carlos was on the Giants, that was probably the best year he's ever had.
was
But I
not
feel like
booing their
even like
manager.
yeah.
He was fine as hell.
Neither were like 50% of the women in the audience. It was so funny. Like people would come with signs for Gabe. It was so funny. So funny. But they
I
were
think I
always
used to
great.
like send
Honestly,
you
they were
videos
so
of
good.
him too. Like he'd pop up on my TikTok and I'm like, Ashley, looky
Your
there.
manager on this team? No, it's so funny. They're really good fans too. They were kind of like probably more so the ride or die type. That we're just like we're gonna ride it out, whether it's good or bad. We're gonna ride it out. And so New York's just different, and I think that's well known. I don't think that's really
Again,
a
they're elite.
surprise.
They're an elite organization all the way around and have been for decades. So it's
Yeah,
just a
and I think
different
they're
ball game.
elite. Well, yeah, I think they're elite while also realizing that they haven't been to a World Series in a long time, and they're a little bit. I think there's a little frustration there, and so this is
And you
you
have some
know
superstars on there too. Aaron
we do.
Judge.
I mean, Aaron
Has he won a World
won.
Series?
No,
Yeah.
Garrett hasn't
See, he needs a
either.
World
So
Series, I fear.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Amy and I sit together. Garrett Cole, his wife, Amy, she's, probably become one of my best friends on the team just because naturally, like, you know how it is, like pitchers' wives, they just kind of, their brains function the
They're
way
their
your
own
brain
gang.
functions. It's just, yeah. And so we sit together every game. And that's probably been one of my, like, made it probably one of the more special parts of this all. It's like I've got like my buddy next to me every game and we're like, it's fun. Like, I've probably never had this much fun with baseball. So yeah, it's been really great. So the pressure's definitely there, but I also feel like Carlos can handle it.
He did
I
great
do.
last night. What was it? 9 strikeouts and
Yeah, he had 9 strikeouts, 6 innings. He gave that one homer, but honestly,
I
it
mean,
wasn't a
some
bad
people's husbands
fastball.
give up 4
It's yeah,
back
and
to
their
back to back.
fastball had
It
been
just
hitting. I
happens
mean, yeah,
sometimes.
I watched an interview their manager gave. That they were like sitting fastball and skee ball. So we had talked about that, and it didn't surprise me. Like obviously the one they hit out was like that fastball because that's they're just kind of selling out. I think on some
Just
pitches.
be that way sometimes.
Got to be that way sometimes. I think it hit 25 swing and miss, which was like the most even in Statcast for the Yankees thing since '08. So I mean he was on last night, but he wanted to come back. He had that start against Kansas City where he was so fired up. And to his defense, everyone was like all worked up about him being fired up. One, I was fired up. The whole stadium was fired up. I have never in my life heard a stadium that loud. Like it
Those
was
atmospheres are electric and crazy and wild
electric,
and
right?
nuts.
And like the term, like act like you've been there before. Like they always say that. The truth is the man's never been there before. So like give him a break. Like he has pitched for the
People love
White
to see
Sox.
that and people love to talk shit about it. So you win either way because
I know
they
it's
love to
so
hate
funny.
you and
And
they love
I
to
like
love you. So whatever.
I'll be honest. I thrive off of that. Like that alpha demeanor, like in your face is totally my vibe because that's kind of like my demeanor. I'm very like alpha in that sense. But last night was cool to watch him because he took a page. He's like, I'm going to take a page out of Garrett's book, and I'm going to just be a robot. And I was like, okay, like you do you. That's cool. But it was hilarious because he would like he ended 5 of the 6 innings with a strikeout. And so he like would strike someone out, and I think he would like turn around and he would like put his arm like this and be like, because he was like holding in so much. The hype was there. Like if he could have turned around and been an animal, but he didn't do it. So I think that shows a lot of, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. I mean, it went great. So obviously it was a good thing, but I was like probably more hype. I got some pictures of me in the game and I'm like screaming bloody murder from the stands that my friends are sending me. And like, I look like a psychopath, but that's who I am. That's who we are. So
Oh my gosh,
it's
it's
fun.
so
It's
much fun.
great.
Is there a game? There is a game tonight, right?
There is a game
Are
tonight.
you
Yeah,
going
Garrett's
to it?
pitching. Yeah,
You're going to go to all of them?
I will.
You have
I'm
to.
actually gonna miss. I'm gonna miss the Thursday game in Cleveland because the kids have school. Kids first.
Yep. I keep
I'm like,
forgetting about
if it were a
Cleveland.
clinch game, we would go. Like I would take them out, but it's not.
Yeah. It's just a lot.
So
It's a lot. The White Sox fans really want to know if Carlos is happy. That was a big
Carlos is
question
going
I
to
got.
be
They're like,
okay.
does he like the Yankees? I'm like, I think he does, guys. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So Carlos and I are probably very similar in this. I feel like you're always happy if you're winning. Like baseball is super fun if you're winning. So last year was not fun. Last year was probably the hardest year we've had because it's different than being bad with the White Sox, right? So if you're bad with the White Sox, they're like, we're wishing you the best. We can't wait to see him back. Can't wait. You get hurt with the Yankees like he did. And the problem is he got hurt and he just couldn't recover. And he never could get to form last year, but he was trying to fight. So he's pitching through like not being Carlos, trying to get to Carlos, but he never got there. And it was just a nightmare. And they're like, we want to burn your house down, leave our team, trade this bum. He's absolutely terrible. I'm like, holy moly, like this man has not even like stepped foot into who he is for a
Yeah.
moment, like
It
not a
takes a
moment in
minute
time.
sometimes.
It takes a minute sometimes. And I think New York's also an adjustment. Like he's
A
always
huge
pitched well
adjustment.
in
It's
New
a different
York.
ball game.
Well, and like here's the thing people don't, they don't think about these things, right? So we had a new baby. Okay. I was supposed to have the baby in New York, but 2 weeks before we were supposed to leave for New York, when I was supposed to have the baby, he got hurt. So then I had my baby with a random person in Tampa, in which they had sold our rental house out from us. So we had nowhere to go. I had a 2 week old baby. We end up buying a house. We move into that house with a 2 week old baby. He finally gets to where he can like throw the ball. We get to New York. We get to our rental. My rental is 100% haunted, but I couldn't get out of my lease. So I'm living in a haunted house for a fortune for a whole season. I like don't want to stay there when he's gone. It was so chaos. Like it was just our whole life is, I'll be honest, our whole life last season was just chaos. And it like it was one thing after another. Like there was like we had a window fall out of the house at the rental. Like it was the haunted rental. It was crazy. Like it was there was so much going on like behind the scenes.
That's why I'm doing this podcast. Do we not have
Yeah.
decades worth of stories to tell of just like crazy shit, crazy people,
Like
like
crazy.
horrible houses that we've had to live in and situations we've been a
Oh,
part of that we don't want to be a part of, and
oh,
then we have to
I,
smile through it?
girl, I could, the amount of stuff that we have gone through when it comes to like that, because people, you don't see that part of it. Like, because it's like you're trying to save money on these rentals, right? So you're like, you know what? Like, we can make it work. We were building our house. And so I was like, I don't want to put a ton of money into like a rental, whatever. Like, let's just make something work that's close. Like, we don't need to get the nicest place. Yeah, that was yikes. We had one in Chicago. Well, we had one in Chicago that we lived up. Oh gosh, I can't even remember what exit that was. It was like West Chicago in this tiny little house on a tiny street. We had Lefty. He was like living. It was it was an experience. Carlos still talks about it. It was the year they DFA'd him and then signed him for $3 million instead of paying him like the 6.5. And I was like, I am not paying 20K a month. I am paying five. And it sounds like a lot of money to people, but 5K for a short-term lease in Chicago is nothing. So you get nothing. Like our cabinets had LED lighting in them, like colored LED lighting. It was like I lived in a club. Um, with a baby. Like Bo was like a baby at that point, and it was such a tiny house. And we had Lefty with us. Lefty got out one day, like attacked the neighbor's dog. I was like,
Oh my God. I'm telling you,
"Welcome
stories
to
for
the real,
days.
real, real. Welcome to the Real Housewives of Chicago, where we live." It was so funny.
For
Our
real though.
neighbors were like,
Hey, what advice?
"Why are you here?"
Do what?
Our neighbors were like, "Why are you here?"
Listen, I am a country girl. I like my house away from everybody. We pee outside.
Yeah,
Chicago. I did
yeah.
not thrive in Chicago. But the next question I had, you just remind me of it. What advice would you give like the next generation of baseball wives and girlfriends? Because they're coming. Okay. I've never felt older than I have this season.
Oh, isn't that crazy? I thought that the other day. I was talking with Amy Cole, and I was
Yeah.
like, I never thought I would feel old, but like we're here. We're kind of here. I think my biggest thing, and what I always tell people, as a baseball wife, you do have a lot of jobs. You have zero paying jobs. You have a lot of jobs. But your number one job is to make their life seamless. And I think that's where Carlos has always like had such a big appreciation for me, and that's what I'm super thankful for, and I think that's why it keeps me going. Like it keeps me, I never feel worn down because he's so appreciative. I think when someone validates what you're doing, it's a lot easier to do it. But with Carlos, it's like I'm here to make your life easier. So like we don't start drama. We make sure the house is put together. We make sure the tickets are put in for everyone. We make sure the hotel reservations are booked, the cars are booked, the hotels are booked. Like anything they could like the IVs appointments are booked, the
You are a
chiropractors, the
better wife than
acupuncture,
me. I will just say
like
that.
but I mean, there's so much that goes into every single day, every single start. It's like there's so much, and it's he and honestly my husband does he does take care of himself. He's not a baby, but like you have to take care of stuff that so they don't have to think about it. So the only thing they have to think about is pitching because it's not forever. I always tell people, I'm like, I think again, the things that keep me going, it's like it's not forever. Like I'm not gonna be processing at this much capacity for the rest of my life. Like because in 5, 6, 7, 8, please God, not 10 years when he's done, uh I feel like we'll be such a good team. And I know that for the rest of my life, after this part of my life, I have a really good partner.
It's going to be cake.
It's going to be cake.
For
And
real.
that's really what keeps me going. And I think that's how people should kind of like go about it. And that's really is the best thing you can do for your spouse, like through baseball, is it's not forever. So you have to like fight to give them the best chance because it's so hard. It's so hard to make it. And I mean, there's a lot of people like my husband's so sweet. He sent me a text before the playoffs started, and it was just kind of like, you know, when everybody else counted us out, like you never stopped fighting for me. It was so sweet. And so I think that's the thing, right? Like somebody has, because people are going to be in their ear 24/7. It's like somebody has to fight to keep them going. Because there's times Carlos has wanted to quit. And I always told him, like, if you want to quit, I don't care. I don't love you because of baseball. So if that's what you're worried about, like, let's kick it. Like, I'll get a job. We're good. Like, he had a really good signing bonus. I was like, we'll be totally fine. We're so far ahead of where kids are our age. Um, but I think it was just like we had a good system and he just kept kind of fighting it out. And I just kept telling him like it's gonna get better, it's gonna get better, like we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Like, it's the hyperbaric chambers you put in the basement and the red light beds. Like it's all these things that like no offense, but Carlos would never like pull the trigger on that stuff. And I'm like, screw it, you need it. Like it's an investment in yourself. They're gonna pay you all this money. Like let's do all of these things we can to keep you healthy. And like knock on wood. I mean, this year if we do make it to the World Series, it's gonna make 38 starts.
That's crazy.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. Is he sleeping right now?
He is.
He's got to be worn
You
out.
know, he was so hyped last night. He was like, I'm probably going to bed at 5 a.m. Because I finally got to sleep at 3.
Oh my gosh.
It's one of those things that's, I feel like, like it's hard to come down sometimes. I feel like Lance is very similar to Carlos in that demeanor of like the FU demeanor of
Oh
like,
yeah.
I'm going to
There's
give it
YouTube
my
videos
all.
all over of Lance cussing,
Yes.
saying
Yeah.
crazy shit.
I love it. I love it. I honestly like I love that. It's fun. Like I think it's so fun. And it's never I think sometimes people are like, like, oh, like the other team. I'm like, it's not about the other team. It
No, because
never
when you're in it, you might be on that team next year. You know someone from another team
right.
that's currently on it. Like it all becomes
Yes.
like one
Yep.
giant family, as cheesy as that sounds. Like everyone kind of knows
Does.
everybody or knows about everybody, and it's
I was just saying that last night, I like walked downstairs. Two of the coaches on for Cleveland were coaches with the Giants. And then Cobb, who he pitched against, we pitched with in San Francisco. And so I got to go down there and see her and her little girls. And it's really just like once you get to this point in your career, it's like a big family because you've just played with so many freaking people. You've played against so many people. It's the kids who are new. Like I feel like we had a kid with Kansas City when Carlos was like hyped that tweeted something like "Don't celebrate too soon" or "Don't celebrate early." I don't remember. But which obviously he's not even like he's not talking. Like he's not hyped at you. Like he just struck out the side at home in his first playoff game. Like I would be so like it would be if he didn't turn around and give me like a something, I would have been like, what is wrong with you? Like because it's like that was such a hype, like it was so loud. But it's the younger kids, I feel like that kind of take it probably more personal. Like they think it's at them when it's like it's not at you. It's like Cross is like everybody bat flips on me, like whatever. He's like, it's cool, like whatever. Like you do you because you're hyping yourself up. Like you're hyping your team up. Like I'm here for that. I'm here for the bat flips. I'm here for the yelling. I'm here for the masculine psychoticness. I mean, I'm here for it. It makes the game fun. And like it was so funny because Carlos last night was like absolute robot mode. And I mean, it was he was holding it in. There was a meme and it's the guy and he's like holding his breath so hard. He was like Rodon holding in his emotions right now. And I was
Next
like,
game, he probably won't hold it in at all. What do you think?
I honestly, I don't. Just because he knows he's potentially pitching a game five, I think it's why he was composed the whole time. I think he gets to that game five. I think if they let him go, like, the 100, pitches just to like get him seventh, eighth inning, um, I think you'll see a little more fire. When the World Series is over, I think he'll be a psycho. I'm gonna be a psycho. So it'll be a good time no matter what. If we get there, you never know, but
Yeah. Well, this is really awesome. I'm really happy for you and your family. I'm excited
I'm
about
really
the
happy
World
for
Series
you.
this year. It's
I
got the
am.
fixins
It's
to
gonna be
be fun. I'm like
it's gonna be
practically a freaking sports reporter over here now. Got me
right. You're like
messing
taking
around,
all your
giving a
notes.
shit.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, well, you kind of like. I mean,
I'm
shoot,
like
like
Googling, like, when's the last time the Yankees won the World Series? When's the last time that the Yankees and the
I know,
Dodgers were in the World Series? And who won it? I'm so
I
legit. Can you
know.
believe it?
It's really crazy. It's gonna be fun. I feel like this is such a great podcast because you're like, there's so many of us that have funny
I
stories
know. People need to
that
know the baseball wives.
because it's just the background, right? The guys, like, one, the guys can't articulate the funny stories. Two, they really aren't like a part of them. They normally like hear about it later. I'm like, listen to what
They're the cause
happened
of them, but they're
today.
hardly ever around for them. So,
I, it's true. And like, I'm just your secretary, ticket concierge, travel agent, health and wellness advisor. It's fine. I will just handle everything. You just throw the ball. That's all you need to do.
oh my gosh.
You know
I
what?
still
Though I
think you're a
can't. I
better
will
wife than me. I
say.
don't do half that shit.
I will say that he said like he's one of the best dads too. I feel like you could say this thing for Lance. Like he's Carlos, like when he's home, I know he doesn't get as much time with the kids as like normal people probably get with their kids, but when he's here, he's super present. And
That
that's
makes it
one of
all
the
worth it
things
too.
it does.
Yeah.
And he's so great. So it's a ride. It's been a ride this year. It's gonna continue to probably be a ride.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's awesome.
hopefully the end of it is
A few weeks
fun.
away, hopefully.
Isn't that
It
crazy?
is.
I mean,
This has gone by really fast.
it's gone by so fast this year. It's gone by so fast this year. I got to watch Lance a couple times.
Yep. The last time I was in New York was when the freaking smoke from Canada came. And remember? And all of New
God.
York City was bright orange with smoke. And then the game got canceled. That was like my one opportunity to
Yes,
even see you. And I didn't, got canceled.
I know. And Carlos that like threw on the field that day. I have videos of him like in the smog, and I'm like, "What? Do you have a mask on? Like, what are you doing?" He's, "No, I'm fine. I'm fine." I'm like,
It was a
"Oh
sick
my
picture, though.
gosh!" It did make a dope picture. I can at least show it to my kids one day. Be like, your dad one time did this. That was crazy. I forgot about that.
So weird. It was
Oh my
like we were
gosh,
in the
so
day after tomorrow. Isn't that movie?
I love it. That movie.
You would.
I'm not even kidding. I love that movie. I would survive.
I believe
I'm
you.
telling you,
I'd be the
I would
first one
survive.
dead. You know it's true. You're laughing because you're like, yep, that checks out.
You could bring your animals there. Maybe you would make it. They would keep you warm.
Maybe. I could see you having a bunch of animals in your future.
I will definitely have a bunch of animals in the future. I just can't do it right now. I mean, I technically we have a ginormous saltwater fish tank with 1 million fish, 2 cats, and a dog. So I'm definitely on the animal train, just not farm animals yet.
Yeah, you'll get
I
there.
could probably put chickens
Give it
in my
time.
yard, but I think my neighbors would get ticked.
Oh, yeah. It'll happen.
I haven't
That's the
always
next
took-
thing. Chickens are the gateway drug. I've already said that before, but you get chickens, it's
they are.
over. It's over for you bitches.
For sure.
Yeah.
You need to get some like all black chickens. They have those really cool.
Yeah,
like,
the
ones. They
zombie
have, like,
chickens?
those
I'll
are
have
sick.
everything soon. Don't you worry. Oh my gosh.
Just call me Farmer Diamond.
That's me.
Dead.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for coming on this podcast. I am so appreciative. You didn't have to do this for me.
Well, you're the only person on the planet that I would do it for.
I love you. I appreciate it.
But
Thank
I'm
you so much.
super excited. Super excited for you.
Thank you.
There's some good stories out there.
I know.
I mean, I feel
Tell
like
your friends
if
to come be on my podcast.
I know. I feel like if we like scavenge the brains of great stories,
There's
quite
some
a
that
few.
like can't be told either. That's a problem.
There are some that cannot be told. There are some.
Come here, come this way.
What's up, dude?
How are you?
Good stuff last night.
We're happy to see you. How do you feel about the no facial hair? Yay or nay?
Keeps you looking young, though.
I want that. I want
Vince
you.
look like a completely different
That's what I
person.
want.
You should Google it.
Next
Should
month, you'll be able to
definitely
do it when you're sitting in a tree stand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yup.
Good job. Keep it up, bud.
Thank you. See you.
Lance is back. Say hi, Lance.
Hey, the start and the end.
Exactly. I just got done talking with Ashley Rodón. You got to see Carlos, so that was cool. We discussed the Carlos Rodón Foundation, the Willow Grant, the Mrs. America pageant, and the playoffs and what the playoffs is like.
Yep. And hopefully they make a nice run here, and we can talk to him again maybe after a World Series
Yeah,
championship.
we're going to bring Carlos back on.
Yeah, we'll talk hunting. That's what really people want to talk about, and pitching.
And pitching.
Yeah. And by that time, we'll probably have a beard because
His facial
he'll
hair will grow
be
back.
allowed to do that.
Yep. You should shave yours for the episode.
Do opposites.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be so cute.
Be ugly.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next Tuesday.